Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be taking apart our old garden bed here, and we've had this now for 4 years, so I wanted to give you guys a quick update and show you how this is holding up in case you're interested in building one of these. We built this about 4.5 years ago. Honestly, it's held up great. We've grown our garden in this every single year, and I've gotten a ton of food out of this garden. It's been right up by our house, so really convenient, but we're expanding our garden down away from the house a bit out in the field, and we have more than enough space there, so we kind of want to reclaim some of the yard near the house and replace this with a sitting area and a fire pit. But if you haven't seen the garden bed video, go check that out. I'll leave the link at the end of this video. I also did a 2-year update video where we stained and checked on the garden bed, as well as answered a lot of questions that I had gotten through the years about this garden bed build. Now I'm going to start taking this apart. A concern that several people have mentioned in the comments was that the metal wasn't going to last long. It will rust out too quickly, and it's been 4 years now. This panel actually has a little bit of rust. The other panels you'll see in a little bit have hardly any at all, so I don't know what's different about that panel than others, but that one had some, but only surface rust at this point. I'm going to take some of that soil out of the old garden bed and reuse it in some of the new cedar garden beds that I've built over here. If you haven't seen that video yet, you can go check that out. I'll leave the link at the end of this video if you're interested. Another concern that I had from several people was that the metal roofing would heat up too much and end up burning the roots, and that actually didn't end up being an issue for me. We're in a pretty hot climate, and even the south facing side of this garden bed did not heat up. Although for it being an elevated garden bed, I think one thing I did notice was that it used a little bit more water than a normal in-ground garden. With it being in the ground, it will sort of hold the moisture in with the rest of the soil around it. With this being elevated, the water seems like it drains out the bottom and dries out a little bit quicker. Another concern in the comments was for the boards that were supporting the garden bed, keeping the sides from bowing. There's a 2x4 that's buried at the base of this garden bed in 4 different places, and it did a great job holding everything together. However, that board, when I dug it out after 4 years, it was still holding, but it was pretty well rotted out, and I actually just replaced that and provided 4 new boards along the bottom to our friends that's getting this garden bed next, because I wouldn't put those back in there. Now, if I were to do it again to prevent that, I would probably seal or wrap the 2x4 with something to prevent it from rotting, or use another material that's not going to rust or rot out before the rest of the garden bed does. Now, something to consider when you're building a raised garden bed like this is the amount of soil that you're going to need to fill it up. If you do a design similar to the elevated garden bed that I showed you previously in this video, that's going to use significantly less soil than one of these large ones. So to reduce the amount of soil for this garden bed, I filled the bottom with yard waste, firewood, leaves, sticks, as much as possible, and then put soil over top. And over the last 4 years, every bit of that has decomposed. I haven't found a single piece of wood in this garden bed. Now, like I mentioned before, the rust issue on these panels is not really much at all, and you can see here, this panel is a good example. Just on the opposite side of the garden bed, this has no rust at all. The discoloration is actually just from the red clay. There's really no rust to be seen. Now, something I did that I would definitely recommend doing for this garden bed is if you're putting this right on the ground, I would make sure to put some bricks or pressure treated boards underneath the garden bed to sort of insulate it from the soil. And that board that I put along the perimeter ended up rotting out completely, and that actually protected the frame and kept it in good shape. So the reason why we don't need this garden bed near the house anymore is because we have a larger garden that I've been able to brush hog and reclaim about an acre of our property so that we can have a larger garden down here. And on top of that, we have quite a few other garden bed videos and projects that we've done to really expand our space, so we don't need that garden bed anymore. If you're planning on building this garden bed and could use some build plans, I've developed some for you. They're on my Etsy shop. You can go purchase those and download them and get started right away. Now that the garden bed has been moved and actually set up at our friend's house, they're enjoying it. We're going to move on to make this space into a sitting area and a fire pit so we can enjoy it with our kids. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, hit that like button down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you have not already.